Alright, Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of GreatMillStone and the elders that rule impeccably well. And Shalom to the Arkim that's pushing his truth and sincerity across the four winds. But I just want to get into a video which is going to be based on this article I've come across, as you can see here, on AmericaComesAlive.com. Right now, this particular article can be found on various sources, and websites, across the web, and it came out, a few weeks ago. And basically, what it's going into, I'll read the title. It says, Grace Wisher, an African American, helped make Star Spangled Banner, which is talking about this image here that you see on the right hand side, which is known as the American flag, that the nation of America, that is really Babylon, spoken of in the Bible, mystery Babylon, uses as their their flag, their national flag. And it's one of the most well-known images upon the face of the earth. You can go pretty much throughout the four corners of the earth and you can show someone the American flag, and instinctively anyone is going to know what nation this particular flag belongs to. Alright, now going into this particular article, as it reads, Grace Wisher, age 13, was an indentured servant in the home of flag maker Mary Pickegill of Baltimore. Pickegill, who had taken over the business her mother started, was well known and highly regarded. The Pickegill shop was responsible for making one of America's most famous flags, the one that inspired the Star Spangled Banner. Alright, numerous disagreements between the United States and Britain had led to the US to declare war on Britain. The British Navy, the mightiest in the world, began linking up outside Chesapeake Bay, threatening to halt shipping traffic into the port. Major General George Armistead was the US Army commander at Fort McHenry at the mouth of Baltimore Harbor on the Chesapeake. He wanted to send a strong message that America was going to defend its harbors. One way to do this was to put up an oversized American flag above the Fort McHenry. So it's one of the tactics they used when they were having, their disagreements with Britain at the time. All right, but I want to get into the main phase of the story when they're talking about the, compiling the American flag, because basically, to cut to the chase, the American flag was engineered by the two ladies that were mentioned at the beginning, and who also helped them because she was a slave, was the woman here, Grace Wisher, man, who was 13 years old. She helped sew the flag, and probably helped design the flag, man, because you already know when Jake are involved in a project, right, creatively, when they put their spirit on something, that something is gonna come to light, man. Right, that's something that the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is giving unto his people, man. All right. Now it says here, so the woman called all the help that she could. Mary was joined by her elderly mother, 3 nieces, and an African American indentured servant named Grace Wisher. There are some reports that the slave woman also helped. Now, of course, she helped, man. All right. Even when you go throughout the articles that are on the net regarding this story, it's very vague. All right, but we know if an Israelite was involved in making this flag, that most of the efforts came from the actual slave woman, because that's how it would go, or the slave man. That's why when you go through the many inventions upon the face of the earth that the so-called white man has claimed, really it goes back to his slave servants, man, that really invented those things. All right, daily things that you see, you use around your household, going, your Hoover, your iron, all of these basic necessities that people use are created by our people, or created by you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. All right, because we're the Lord's people. So all inventions and anything, that's worthwhile upon the face of the earth is gonna go back to the Lord's people. All right, they like to paint the picture that our people were stupid. Our people didn't know, how to tie their laces. But here you have it. As this kingdom goes down, more and more information gets released regarding the greatness of the Lord's people, right? Regarding, the witty inventions and, the salt that they bring to the earth. And we'll go into those scriptures also, man. Right? The flag they delivered 6 weeks later is the flag that inspired Francis Scott Key to write the Star-Spangled Banner. For the complete story of the making of the Star-Spangled Banner, click here. The flag has been restored by converters at the Smithsonian, and it is now hangs in the American History Museum. So that's like basically going back to one of the first, American flags that was designed. So it says the fact that she was aided by 2 African Americans has only come to light more recently, because they were keeping it, under the carpet, man. They didn't want that information to come out, right? They didn't want people to know that the very, American flag that they honor and they praise was actually created by slaves, by Negro slaves, right? So-called Negro slaves. Though none of Picadill's flag-making team has ever had much focus, it would be very difficult to tell much of a story about either Grace Wisher or the slave woman. So there were 2 slaves that were involved in the helping of the construction of the American flag. Now it's just funny to me how the very slaves built that flag, man. And that's something that Americans unto this day, they worship the American flag. They look to the American flag and they have great pride in that flag, right? But that very flag was constructed with the help, right? Or maybe even just made, solely by, 2 slave women. All right? But that's the flag that they look to and they have great pride in, man. So this shows you that, Esau is a hypocrite, man, right? Because we're the form of all things, as it tells you in the scriptures. All right, now, also going into, the development of America. Look, man, the slaves built America. The slaves built the UK, right? Great Britain. All of these great nations upon the face of the earth were constructed and built by slaves, man, right? Primarily of Israelite descent, right? You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans basically have built, the foundations of the world, man, right? Through the process of slavery. All right. Now, also when you go into, the mobile phone, man, because I've been doing, some research on this, but when you go into the gamma electrical cell, which was developed by this man right here, all right, which is his name is Samson Henry Thomas. Right, when you go into this guy, he was the one that actually, created the gamma electrical cell, which is, one of the fundamental technologies that's used in mobile phones. So without even, the so-called black man, you wouldn't even have, a mobile phone, man. All right, which is funny in itself, because that's something that the world uses on a daily basis. Some people can't even live without their mobile phones, man. But that very technology that you're using in your hand wouldn't be possible without, again, a so-called black man. So let's get into the scriptures, man. Now this is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, "Then shall the righteous man stand up in great boldness before the face of such that have afflicted him." All right, now that's talking about the elect men, the Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans that are pushing this word, man, right? Which are now standing in great boldness, declaring the truth of the Holy Bible, declaring that, we are indeed the Israelites that the Bible speaks of, first and foremost, and declaring that our Lord, right, who is Yahweh, right, and his, only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, most importantly, are the true you know, gods of the Bible, man, and not God and Jesus, right? That's who we worship, all right? We worship Yahweh, you know, through his son, Yahweh Shai, right? And this is what we declare on the highways and the byways. And what else do we declare? We declare, you know, that, you know, they're so-called black men, all right? As those say, as save the scriptures too, all right? We declare that they're black powers, you know, so-called black men. They have melanin, you know, they're of the darker hue, all right? And that, you know, they are powers, man, right? And it says here also, and have made no account of their labors. So that's exactly what's been happening when you go through, you know, the generations and you look at the inventions that have been created by our people, but we get no you know, count made of us, man, right? We get no you know, credit for the things that we have done in this society, for our inventions, for our contributions, all right? Because why? We were in an enslaved state, and when you're a slave, right, you don't have the right and you don't have privileges to claim even your own inventions, man, right? They would strictly go towards whoever your owner was, right? So if your owner was Mr. Thomason, right, and you created the Hoover, for example, then, you know, that technology that you invented will go under his household, under his name, right? And then he would then own that patent, and then he would be recognized throughout the generations as being the creator of that device, even though he had nothing to do with it, man. But what he did have, he had the position over you, right? And it's the same now. It's the same thing that happens on the smaller scale. It's like you might work for a company and they'll make you sign a contract, right? And I've personally been through this myself. They'll make you sign a contract, and anything you do while you are working for that company is not going to be your own work. You've done it for the company that you work for, man. So then when you leave that company, anything you created for that company stays with them, and you leave on your own with nothing, man, right? So that's slavery, right? All over again, that is slavery. It still happens to this day, man. All right, now let's go to brilliant. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 8 and verse 12. It says, I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, right, and find out knowledge of witty inventions, man. So that's bestowed upon Yahweh Hashem Yahushai's people, right? The ability to come up and develop witty inventions, man, right? The Lord has bestowed that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding onto his people, all right? Simple and plain to the point. This right here was not given unto the whole world, man. That was given to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai's people, right? Because as it tells you in the book of Deuteronomy, that we're a special people, man, above all nations upon the face of the earth, right? The Lord has chosen us to be his people. The Lord has chosen us to be his representation, you know, in the fleshly form upon the face of the earth, man, right? So that comes with, you know, the breath of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, that wisdom, right, that is bestowed upon us, man. These things can't be done without Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, all right? Now this is Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 16. It says, he that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich surely shall come to want, man. Surely shall surely come to want, Salakia. All right. So that's what the so-called white man has done. He's oppressed the poor. He oppressed you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans in slavery, man. Right, and he increased in his riches. He used, you know, what we were creating in slavery, right, to further himself, to further his own agenda, right, upon the face of the earth, man. And he's been doing it for decades, man. He's been doing it for decades onto you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. You work and you labor and you receive nothing in return. All right, so that's why we seek Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to deliver us from this captivity. And that's how we know it's a captivity, because these things are still happening today. But now it's happening to everyone. Esau does this to his own people now, man. Right? The elites do this to their own people. Matthew 5 and 13, it says, ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its savor, wherein shall it be salted, man? So Israel is the salt of the earth, man. Israel brings flavor, brings life, brings spirit upon the face of the earth, man. You know, going back to the witty inventions, you know, that you see around you. You know, it goes back to Jake, man. It goes back to Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They're the creators, man. Right? They put that knowledge into the world to make these things possible. You know, Nikola Tesla, you know, confusion of faith, You know, hey man, all of these things, man. When you go into the history, our people created all of these things. You know, it is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under the foot of men, man. And that's what's happened to our people, man. We've been, you know, taken down by the so-called white man, and now we've become the you know, the servants, man, right, of the other nations. But that's gonna come to an end real soon, right? Because Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is on his way back to save his people from their current captivity and to exalt them into their own kingdom, where they can rule in righteousness. All right, now this is Jeremiah 51 and verse 19, and it says, the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name, man. So look, the Lord is the former of all things, and unto his people, you know, upon the face of the earth, he's given you know, that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to you know, create all the things upon the earth, man. You know, when you go back into you know, Genesis, and you go into the first fruits, you know, it was Yahushua by whom the Lord made, you know, the whole world, Yahushua and the angels. All right, so that's, you know, Yahushua and the elect that created all things upon the face of the earth. So, you know, that goes without saying that means that, you know, our people, Unigos, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you know, are the form of all things upon the face of the earth, man. You know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. All right, so, you know, all of these things, man, that you see upon the face of the earth, all of these things that, you know, world people, you know, hey, it all goes back to Israel, man. All right, it all goes back to Israel through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. And, you know, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. And with that, I'll say shalom.